Welcome, everyone, to The Universe Speaks, a wrestling podcast. I am your host, Christopher Andrews, and I am joined today by no one. That's right, I'm riding solo once again. Let's jump right in. All right, so today on The Universe Speaks, we're going to talk about ROH. For those of you that don't know ROH, which I would assume that you do listening to a wrestling podcast, ROH is Ring of Honor Wrestling. This past Friday, Ring of Honor Wrestling put on their Best in the World pay-per-view. But I went and I purchased the Best in the World pay-per-view because, like I've said before, I listen to Busted Open Radio, and they've been hyping this thing nonstop. Especially Bully Ray, because if you don't know, Bully Ray is now part of the ROH roster and was, spoiler alert, part of the six-man tag team champions in ROH along with the Briscoe brothers. They've been hyping it. It got me real excited. I saw the card and I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this a chance. Live. I'm not going to wait for it to be on video on demand for a cheaper price. I'm not going to wait for the video to come out. I'm not just going to read about the results. I want to see this live. And the main selling point for me was Cody Rhodes versus Christopher Daniels for the ROH World Championship. And the story of Cody not being able to win the big one, it being 30 years since Rhodes had held a world title, and also going into New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 Climax U.S. title tournament that's going to be taking place the first weekend in July, where Cody Rhodes will be wrestling for the IWGP World title against Okada. And if you're not following New Japan Pro Wrestling, I strongly suggest that you do. You can purchase New Japan World for $9.99 a month, just like the WWE Network. With currency exchanges, it ends up being a little less, but it's okay. So over in New Japan, we've had two real big pay-per-views since the new year. In January, we had the Tokyo Dome show that they do every year, Wrestle Kingdom. At that show, in the main event, we had Okada versus Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega being the leader of the Bullet Club, which is a faction that is taking not only New Japan Pro Wrestling by storm, but the world by storm. So if you see Bullet Club t-shirts on WWE TV or Impact Wrestling TV, you'll know that that's a New Japan thing. Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, the villain Marty Scurll, Bad Luck Fale, the Gorillas of Destiny, all these guys part of this cool heel but not heel faction, really reminiscent of the NWO right at the beginning. Former members of the Bullet Club include Finn Balor, Anderson and Gallows, AJ Styles, Adam Cole. So you see the quality of talent in this stable. So at their Wrestle Kingdom show in January, we had Okada versus Kenny Omega, and that match was quite possibly the match of the year. People argue the follow-up with John Cena and AJ Styles was a better match. It was 6 stars, Dave Meltzer and his ratings. It was a big to-do. And at Wrestle Kingdom, Okada beats Kenny Omega. And the storyline is that Kenny Omega never hit his finisher. That had he hit the finisher, Okada would have been down. Or Kenny Omega would have been the champion. So we go into their next, highest pay-per-view, okay, Dominion. We have a rematch between Omega and Okada, and they go to a 60-minute time limit draw, quite possibly bettering the match that they had in January. But it's a 60-minute time limit draw, so Okada remains the champion, and Kenny Omega, the leader of the Bullet Club, doesn't win the belt. So how does this play into Cody Rhodes? Well, like I said before, Cody Rhodes gets a shot at Okada during New Japan Pro Wrestling's first standalone tour of the United States, where they're holding a tournament to crown the United States IWGP United States champion. Cody and Okada. Cody, who couldn't win the big one, who wrestled 1 week before for the ROH title and has won the ROH title. A Rhodes It's taken 30 years for Rhodes to be world champion again. Cody Rhodes, who, if you watch the match at Dominion, almost threw in the towel on Kenny Omega to end the match. This is interesting, and this is why I'm so excited for it. This is why I bought the ROH pay-per-view Best in the World, because I wanted to see what was going to happen with Cody, and Daniels, and then Cody and Okada. And Cody wins the world title of ROH. He brings his world title to face the IWGP world champion, champion versus champion, IWGP title on the line. I think Cody could win the IWGP title here in California and be a dual champion of ROH and New Japan. I had hoped that was what was going to happen. And again, that's what that brought me into this pay-per-view, made me spend the $35 that I spent, was because and fantasy book these matchups. On top of the Cody situation, you have Christopher Daniels, who, if you've been a wrestling fan over the past, 20 or so years, you should know the name Christopher Daniels. Between ROH and TNA, Christopher Daniels, in his story, was he never could win the big one. He never was good enough, okay? He was champion at the beginning of ROH, but time had passed him by, and so on and so forth. And then when he beat Adam Cole for the ROH championship, big celebration, people are so excited, everything's happening for Christopher Daniels. He retains the championship in a triple threat match, also involving Cody Rhodes. And so you put Cody and Daniels one-on-one. Cody wins the belt. Daniels looks and he says, well, I see people's true colors now. I see what ROH fans are really like. You've got so many possibilities coming out of this one pay-per-view. This one special pay-per-view, and that's what gets me excited going forward. And that's what's got me on board for the tournament here coming up for New Japan Pro Wrestling. I truly think that the best option right now is to give Cody Rhodes the IWGP World Championship and let him be IWGP champion and ROH champion. To play up his storyline of being a free agent that can take the titles anywhere, can do anything he wants with them, can show up any place that he can show up. This is going to give exposure to ROH. It's going to give exposure to New Japan. It is going to say, even though we're not going to be able to compete with the WWE in terms of money, in terms of global influence, in terms of pop culture influence, that there are other viable options out there for people to watch and enjoy the sport of professional wrestling. A guy who had a mustache and a mask and paper bags and was Stardust is going to open up the world to professional wrestling because his last name is Rhodes, because it's in his blood, because he didn't accept to just be second fiddle in the WWE. He went out and he upheld the name that he thinks so highly of. The legacy of his father and his brother that he obviously puts on a pedestal. He is keeping the name special. He is keeping the dynasty alive, but he is growing his own brand, and he is doing it without Vince McMahon behind him. And that's what makes this pay-per-view so important. That's what makes the New Japan tournament coming up here the first weekend of July so important, because it shows that Vince McMahon isn't the only guy that can make or break somebody. That there's not just one option. That when we are mad that Roman Reigns is going to main event every pay-per-view for the next 10 years, we can say, not going to happen. I'll go watch Okada. I'll go watch Tanahashi. I'll go watch Omega and Rhodes, the Bullet Club and Chaos, Naito, Ishii, all these guys. Okay, I'll go watch Christopher Daniels and Hangman Page and Frankie Kazarian, because there are options outside of the WWE. And between the Wrestle Kingdom show, the Dominion show, and the Best in the World pay-per-view, I think this is a real turning point in terms of let's look outside of the WWE box. Let's see what else is out there. And the special tournament that's taking place, like I've said before, and I'll say it again, the special tournament that's taking place the first weekend in July, it's going to be on Access TV, is going to open up a brand new world in North America for professional wrestling. The other reason that I bought this Best in the World pay-per-view, Bully Ray and the Briscoes versus Dalton Castle and the Boys. If you don't know who Dalton Castle is, you best YouTube him. Because Dalton Castle is a name that you're going to want to know. Dalton Castle reportedly just turned down a deal with the WWE because he wants to stay in ROH. The WWE wants this guy. He turns them down and says, no, ROH is the place for me. Now, I saw Dalton Castle back when he was wrestling independent shows. He was wrestling for 2CW. Both Ryan and myself were big fans of 2CW. We missed 2CW here in upstate New York. We wish that they would come back. They were a real good independent promotion, okay, that had a lot of real good talent come through. And Dalton Castle was one of those guys. The Party Peacock. As per usual wrestling fans, you get somebody who is not your stereotypical tough guy, and you would think that by the name Party Peacock. Not your stereotypical musclehead, professional wrestler, and he's going to get booed. And boy, did Dalton Castle get booed, and boy, did Dalton Castle love getting booed, and did he take that character and run with that character. And one of the things that he says about the character is that, the character of Dalton Castle, he doesn't need to be any specific way. He doesn't need to label himself as anything specific. And if you know the character, you know what I'm talking about. Because it doesn't matter who he is, he's still going to kick your ass. And that's what Dalton Castle has been doing since leaving the smaller territories of, a 2CW and moving on to ROH. Dalton Castle has been making a name for himself. Dalton Castle has been moving up the ranks, and Dalton Castle is going to be a star in the industry. And unless Dalton Castle has changed since he's gone to ROH, Dalton Castle is a nice guy. Dalton Castle is a pleasant person to speak with and interact with, and somebody that seems to really love the business that he's in. I know firsthand because I've spoken to him on several occasions. When he first started showing up back in ROH, the Top Prospects tournament a couple years ago, our 2CW was still running shows, and I went up to him and I said, hey man, congratulations. He said, thanks, I appreciate it. I said, I think you're really going to be something. And who the hell am I? I'm nobody. I'm not somebody that's special. I'm not somebody that with a lot of power. But, I said, I think that you're really going to be something. I think that ROH is the spot for you. And he says, you know what? I think so. I appreciate that. And I bought his T-shirt because, as an independent contractor, as an independent wrestler, you're selling your merchandise. And I thought it was a cool design. It was like a peacock head in the Jurassic Park logo. So, that was cool. I liked it. I still wear it on occasion. And to see that has changed and it has come into, a point where people are recognizing him, looking at him and saying, you know what, this guy has something special is awesome to see. To have talked to him a few times, to have seen him wrestle on the indies and now in ROH, and now as the 6-man tag team champion with his boys in their flamboyant costumes, their peacock outfits, beating a team of Bully Ray, also known as Bubba Ray Dudley, and the Briscoe brothers. Jay Briscoe, multi-time ROH world champion. Jay and Mark, both of them multi-time tag team champions, put on some hell of matches in their past. Real big names in ROH right from the beginning, right from the first show on. It was a defining moment for this guy. It was a defining moment in a career for Dalton Castle. And Bully kept talking, I'm going to slap him. I'm going to chop him. I'm going to give him blah, 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 blah. And you know what? It sold me. It sold me on it. So beyond the main event, then you've got the Dalton Castle and the boys versus the Briscoes and Bully. This pay-per-view to me was worth it. Then you go in and you've got the Young Bucks versus War Machine. The Young Bucks, who are junior weight tag team champions. over in New Japan against this team of War Machine who just lost the heavyweight tag team championships over in Japan. I mean, the Young Bucks, follow them on Twitter. These guys are another set of guys, the brothers, Matt and Nick, who were in TNA. They bucked the system, caused a lot of backstage turmoil if you listen to the stories and the rumors, have had options to go back to TNA, have had options to go to the WWE, and have said, no, we're going to do it our way. We're going to do it the way that we want to do it. We're going to make our schedules. We're going to go to the places that we want to go. We're going to wrestle against the people that we want to wrestle in, and we're going to promote ourselves, and they are the talk of the town. Young Bucks merchandise, Bullet Club merchandise. These guys are changing the face of the industry. So you've got the Young Bucks, you've got War Machine, hearkening back to like the Powers of Pain or Legion of Doom or Demolition. That's what those guys look like. And then they had a surprise tag team that, the best friends of Chucky T and Trent Beretta. Chucky T, if you follow other independent wrestling, if you follow Evolve, also known as Chuck Taylor or Dustin. Trent Beretta, who's shown up in Impact Wrestling, who used to wrestle in the WWE, who is a tag team with Rocky Romero over in New Japan Pro Wrestling called Roppongi Vice. So you've got the best friends. They make a surprise appearance. You've got this triple threat match for the ROH tag team titles, won by the Young Bucks. It was fantastic. It was great. You had a match, Marty Scurll, the villain, another guy that if you don't know who this guy is, you've got to look him up. You've got to find clips of him. This guy is a special entertainer. Not the greatest wrestler in the world, not the top of the wrestling food chain. He admits it himself. Listened to an interview with him the other day where he admits, I'm not the greatest wrestler of all time. So what did I do to make myself stand out? Well, I created this character of the villain. He wrestled for the ROH television champion against Kushida. Kushida, who, if you follow New Japan, knows the story. He was beaten for his junior heavyweight championship in almost record time, went on a bit of a lull, okay, and then had this story of redemption. Wins the Best of the Super Juniors tournament, beats Marty Scurll for the ROH television championship, goes back to New Japan, and at Dominion wins the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match title back. Kushida's a star in the making. You got that match going. You had a strap match, a leather strap match against Hangman Page and Frankie Kazarian, where they literally had a strap that had thumbtacks and nails sticking out of it, and they whipped each other with it. They had a special match with CMML superstars from Mexico taking on guys from ROH. ROH is international. ROH is not just this underground promotion where you go, I think I can anymore. Because that's where ROH was, and that's kind of what ROH did. I think I can. And that's where you got guys like AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, Bryan Danielson, or Daniel Bryan, Nigel McGuinness, Colt Cabana, CM Punk, Tyler Black, also known as Seth Rollins, Claudio Castagnoli, which, Antonio Cesaro. He hasn't been Antonio Cesaro for years, just Cesaro, okay? All these guys came through, Cassius Ohno, all came through, Roderick Strong, all came through ROH. And they just kept going, I think I can, because as soon as those guys became big enough, they went and they left. They went to the WWE. They went to Impact. They said, ROH is a great stepping stone. It's an underground promotion. It's an indie promotion. That's cool. That's great. It's awesome. We love working there, but we got to go make the money. We got to go get the exposure. Our craft, it can't be perfection until we go to WWE. It's not like that anymore. Now people want to be in ROH. Cody wants to be in ROH. Daniels wants to be in ROH. Dalton Castle wants to be in ROH. The Young Bucks want to be in ROH so that they can work with New Japan. And like I said before, give the WWE audience who's like, I'm done. 5 hours a week is a lot to devote to subpar professional wrestling. Give those guys, give us internet fans, people that love the sport of professional wrestling, an opportunity to go somewhere else and watch professional wrestling. And you know when the WWE is the best? The WWE is the best when they have some competition. And the COO of ROH has come out and said, we're never going to be the WWE. We can't be the WWE. Nobody can be the WWE right now. We want to be different than the WWE. And that's what's making these events special. That's why I'm shelling out $35 for one pay-per-view when you pay $9.99 a month for the WWE Network and you get, 2 pay-per-views plus all this other content and you go, oh, look at all this wrestling I could have. No, that $35 means something because it's special. Because ROH isn't WWE Light. It's not TNA. It's not Impact Wrestling. Okay, it's not trying to be something that it's not. They found a niche. They found working with New Japan, with CMML, being able to cross continents and cross wrestling styles and fan bases to make a special product. Now, is every single show that they put on a hit? Absolutely not. Is every television taping worth watching from start to finish? In my opinion, no. Still a lot of work that can be done, even to make it a viable product. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. Whether you're the same as WWE or whether you're different, they can make improvements. But you best believe when they have these big events, they're going to put on a show that you're going to be talking about. So do yourself a favor the next time that you see that ROH is going to have a pay-per-view, put down the $35 and give it a shot. If you have Access TV, tune in that first Saturday, July 1st. Tune in and watch. Get these different shows, get these different promotions some ratings, get some social media buzz around them. Respond to this podcast. Let's talk about it. Give me your ideas, your thoughts, your opinions, your feelings. Because this is the way that we're going to be able to push the WWE into making a better product. If you listen to the last podcast, I said, I think they hear us. We don't want them to know that it's us that's making them have to change that product, changing that Roman Reigns-Brock Lesnar match to a Roman Reigns-Brock Lesnar SummerSlam match, not WrestleMania. This is the way that we do it, by supporting ROH, by supporting New Japan Pro Wrestling, by giving these, other companies that are worthwhile a shot. Now, Impact Wrestling is a completely different story. Impact Wrestling is and always has been and always will be WWE Light. And it's so unfortunate because Impact Wrestling has had so many good talents throughout the years that they have squandered in hopes of being WWE version 2.0, in hopes of going, the Monday Night Wars, WCW versus WWF. I'm afraid that TNA is too far gone to be saved. They can hang on, they can continue on where they are, they can keep doing what they're doing, but I don't see them ever rising in the ranks. Whereas ROH and New Japan, yes, they're not going to compete one-on-one with the WWE, but they can make some noise if we support them. They can make some noise if a guy like Cody Rhodes can go out and win the ROH championship and then win the IWGP championship and start bringing it around to different independent shows. Defending it all over the world. Being a traveling champion like his dad before him. Tune into ROH. Go out of your way. Find it. Have the Fight TV app. Okay, you can watch their weekly shows if you don't get a channel that broadcasts them. Check them out on the Fight TV app. Again, like I said, not every week is a home run, but they need the support to get to that home run. Go and check out New Japan World. Tune into Access TV. Let's make some noise for these promotions that are putting on professional wrestling. Then we can get the WWE to start doing it. Maybe we can, see Finn Balor and Seth Rollins and Jeff Hardy and Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. Maybe they can get pushed back to that forefront. Think about it. Just think about it. All right, that does it for me for this episode of The Universe Speaks, a wrestling podcast. As always, thank you for all your support. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tweeting. Thank you for Facebook. Thank you for interacting with us. I'm Christopher Andrews. Thank you for listening. So long.
That's the end of this episode. All of our episodes are now available through our website. For links to those episodes, downloadable MP3s, our other social media websites, or if you're just a part of the universe and want to contact us, feel free to do so at theversespeaks.tumblr.com. That's TheVerse.tumblr.com.